Hello, English 1. Your current paper is a response to another text. This presentation explains 3 different types of response that you can use in that paper. The rhetorical response. This responds to how a text is constructed. You can ask if the author uses the most appropriate genre to reach the rhetorical audience. You can ask if the author creates a reasonable, logically structured argument. Or you could ask how current and credible the author's evidence is. Or does the author have enough evidence to prove their point? The picture of the gears in the top right corner is meant to help you think of this type of response as a way to respond to how the text functions. As with the picture of the building under construction in the bottom right, you're thinking about how the text was built. So let's say a friend asks you to go to a restaurant with them because they had a really good burger there. You say you don't want to go to that restaurant because that one good burger doesn't mean that the rest of the food is good. And you don't like burgers. This is rhetorical response because you are saying that your friend does not have sufficient evidence that the restaurant is good. The second type of response is the ideas response. This responds to the ideas in the text. So think, based on your own experience, research, and critical thinking, how much do you agree or disagree with the author? How has the text changed or challenged your ideas? What points has the author omitted or left out from their text? So your friend says that the restaurant is really good because they had a great burger there, and you disagree because you had terrible falafel there. You've created an ideas response. You respond to the idea that it's a good restaurant by offering alternate evidence. Third and last, the reflective response. This connects the text to your own life experience. This can be like the ideas response, but it's more focused on you. The text might trigger memories for you, or it might relate to an experience. You can write about the personal values it reinforces or challenges, or how the text changes your ideas about yourself or the world. So your friend tells you about the great burger she had at this one restaurant, and you respond by talking about the best burger you've ever had 5 years ago in a different town. That would be a reflective response because you are focusing on the memory triggered by your friend's message. You can blend these responses. You can analyze and critique a text's rhetorical strategies and develop a stance on the text's ideas, for instance. There's no right or wrong way to combine these responses. Your writing just has to be logically organized. Let's look at an example with a cartoon. This cartoon, created by Mike Keefe and published in the Denver Post in March 2009, shows the evolution of communication. He says, we started at carving in stone, progressed in the Middle Ages to the movable printing press, and apexed in the 1950s with mass publication. On the decline, he shows a Gen Xer with a goatee and sloppy dress sending an email on a laptop, and finally, he shows us looking like a Stone Age person again, tweeting on a mobile phone. The joke is that communication is devolving because we think that there's not much worth saying that can't be said in 140 characters on Twitter. Here is my rhetorical response, my response to the way the text is written. You can pause this presentation to read it. My rhetorical response to the cartoon is that Keefe's genre, the cartoon, is too limited to create a truly nuanced insight into the evolution of written communication. Here's my ideas response, my response to the ideas in the cartoon. Pause the presentation to read it. My ideas response is that Twitter is an advance in communication, not the regression that Keefe suggests. And my reflective response, my response based on my own values and experiences. Pause the presentation to read it. Here, I respond out of my view of Twitter's use and usefulness in my life. Finally, Pick the response that works best for you in your text, but don't worry about whether you are writing a type of response correctly. I mean, if you decide to write a rhetorical response and you actually write an ideas response, that's fine. What matters is that you write more than I agree or I disagree. You need to explain your reason for your stance toward the text. If you need help, use the questions in this presentation to get started.